Hey everybody, welcome to FabFit Friday. This week has, again, not turned out like I thought. I was putting tables away on Sunday after my workshop. I just wanted to clean it up and make it look like it looked, um, when they set it up for me, and I had dragged in a bunch more tables to make more cutting space for my students, and I wanted to put everything back, and apparently in my gusto of cleaning, I irritated my sciatic nerve. So Monday, I could barely walk around. Tuesday was a little better. By Wednesday, I was feeling almost normal, and today I'm perfectly fine, but it kind of threw me back a little bit trying to get stuff done. I had intended to have a power cleaning session Monday, and that did not work out. So my room is not ready to share, but that's okay. I have some other fun topics to talk about today, and we will get to that room hopefully next week. Let me just stop and say hi to Andrea from sunny California, and Tana from sunny Florida, and then I have Diane and Mary from cool and cloudy Michigan. It's cloudy here today too. I did go for a hike this morning, and I wore this shirt with a tank top and a pair of short leggings, and it was 50 degrees, and that was delightful for me to go hiking. My dogs were so happy that I finally got my butt out there. So yeah, it's kind of murky here today. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you my pants, and I think you might have seen the picture that I did that I took during the workshop. That was a full-length picture, and I posted it on Instagram yesterday. Let me just see if I can share it with you quickly here in case you didn't see the picture, because I said I was going to show my finished pants and then I forgot. But basically, here are my finished pants. Pretty pleased with them. They look really nice in the back too. So maybe after I finish hemming or whatever, I can try them on if I have time. But at the end, I also want to talk about a class that I'm going to be teaching for Trisha for her private her private fitting group. Part of what she does for her private group is she brings in teachers to, do programs throughout the year, and she asked me to teach a class for her next week. So I'll be doing that next week, and what I'll do is I'm going to wait to the end to talk about it because I'm hoping she'll have time to drop into the chat and talk with us as well. She's actually live with her group right now, so we couldn't get this together so we could both be here, but I'm hoping she'll come in at the end. So let me just say hello to Trudy and Bettina from Germany, and Trudy's from Madison, Wisconsin. And Mary says the older we get, the more our bodies protest when we work it. I know. I can definitely relate to when something happens, it takes me more time to snap back compared to when I was in my 30s and 40s. So I do feel like I have that issue, but I'm trying to stay as perky as possible because, I like to be perky. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So what I want to start with is I want to show you. Let me see if my camera's working here to show you my table shot. Oh yeah, this is my table shot. I might have to move my camera back a little bit here, but I'm going to zoom in because I want to show you two things that Debbie, one of the students last week, brought for us. She brought one of these for everybody. Look at how cool this is. It's a little scrap bin, or it could even be a snack bin. I put my clips in there. But look she used her circular stitcher on her Viking to create this, and I think it's reversible. Look at how cool that is, using a circular stitcher on her Viking sewing machine. I think she did this as a class for a sewing store she lives near. It's very cool. So, I guess it is reversible. the ribbon would be on the inside if it was reversed, but you could have it be like that, or you could have it be like this. And it also lays completely flat, so if you wanted to flatten it out, you could flatten it out. But I just thought this was such a cool thing, and she brought one of these for everybody. I thought that was so sweet. So Debbie, if you're catching the replay, or if you join us later, thank you for this. I absolutely love it. I couldn't wait to get it out of my suitcase from packing and put something in it. And honestly, my Wonder Clips and my Magic Clips were all in the same little container, and I'm kind of enjoying having them in separate containers now. So that's very organized. So there's the first thing. And then her husband is a woodworker, and she brought me this seam ripper. And I just want to say, this seam ripper is my heart's desire for everything I would want in a seam ripper when I'm teaching, because it's on this nice metal chain, so I can wear it like a lanyard or a necklace. If I want to use the seam ripper, look at how amazing this is. It's got a magnet here, so I can take it off of the chain, and then this opens, and it's like this. Oops, no, like this, yep. And so see, I can use it like a seam ripper, like you would use, and then I can put the cap back on and hang it back on my neck. So when I'm teaching, and especially when I'm doing pants fitting or any kind of fitting, I'm constantly taking out seams on students. So this is perfect. And this wood is beautiful colored wood, and he made the circular shape on his lathe. So I just thought this was the nicest thing. So again, Debbie, thank you, and thank your husband for this. And you can hear it click in. I'm going to do it like, listen to this. Do you hear it snap in? It's a magnet, so it stays secure, but it also comes apart. So I will be bringing this to all my teaching things. I absolutely love it. And thank you. So I got some gifts. That was so fun. And then the rest of the pants fitting class went really, really well. I will tell you, the most exciting part for me in this pants fitting class I taught last weekend was on this third day. Well, first of all, at the end of Saturday, normally what happens during a 2-day workshop is everyone starts to get, I want to say anxious or rushed to get as much as they can out of a workshop, because they know it's the end of the workshop, and if they're not completely done, people start to like get a little panicky, and they try to rush to hurry up. Well, for my 3-day workshop, at the end of Saturday, everyone was completely fine. No one was stressed out. Then on Sunday, what was really cool was some of the ladies brought fabric to cut out their own, their first pair of pants out of their adjusted pattern. And some of the fabrics couldn't be different from the muslin fabric. I brought a soft drapey, non-stretch black fabric that had a little bit of mechanical give, but I mean, it was not stretchy. And then also a gray crepe that did stretch. And I used the gray stretchy fabric for people who wanted a little stretch, or if they were working on the stretch jeans pattern. And then I used the non-stretch fabric for everybody else. So in the end, 2 things really stood out to me. I had one student cut out her first pair of pants out of a very heavyweight, non-stretch, stiff, not draping twill, and the fit was pretty good. Now, the fullness in the leg needed to be adjusted, but I had her trace a copy of her pattern so I could show her how to adjust her pattern for that type of fabric. I thought that was very cool. And then I had a few other ladies who cut their pants out of something that was also different from the muslin fabric, and they had really good fits as well. So for me, it was so reaffirming and just exciting for me to see that people could take their pattern home and cut it out of a different fabric, and it worked. So that just made my heart so happy, and we had an amazing time. So I will be offering another 3-day pants fitting class in August, so look for that at the beginning of April. I'm capping it at 10 because I had 8 in my first class. I think 10 would be perfect. I think 12 would have been too much. So 10 spots. And that class will go live the first week in April. So look for that. based on the feedback I'm getting and people who couldn't come to this first one, I'm anticipating that it might fill up quickly, which I'm happy about. But if you are interested in that, definitely look for that. It will be in my newsletter. So that's when I'll announce it. All right, let me just stop and say hi to Cynthia from Ghana. Welcome, welcome. All right, so today what I'm going to do is I have my pants here and I'm going to widen out my angle on my table shot. Let me just put this up a little higher so I can show you what I have here. So I wanted to wear these, and actually I was wearing them on Friday last week. So a week ago Friday I was running around in these and I absolutely love them. I put one of my mother's shell or ivory buttons. This is an older button. She's had it in her stash for a long time. I mean, I don't think it's antique, but I made it like this so the oval part would slip through the buttonhole, and then when it's completely buttoned and oval, it looks like that. So this is the button on my pants. Okay, so that's how I finished that up after sewing the fly. I made a relatively narrow waistband. It's not quite 1.5 inches. Okay, so I did the waistband, and the fly is what I sewed with you guys 2 Fridays ago. And look at this. I just realized I wanted to hand sew the ends of my waistband shut because I did not top stitch the waistband, and then I threw them in the washer and dryer again. So that's how that looks. I'm going to have to hand stitch this shut. And also on this one, now this one I have to hand stitch as well, but the buttonhole I think is keeping it more in shape. So I will give this a nice press and just, use some invisible stitching by hand to shut that. And that way it's got a nice clean finish. There's no top stitching. And this is how the inside looks. Now this is right out of the dryer. I haven't pressed it yet, but I did turn the edge of the bottom edge of the facing up, and I stitched that shut. There's the top of the zipper. Okay, so the waistband was very good. I was very happy, very comfy. And then when I wore them, I realized that the hems, which have now been washed twice, let me just make it a little lighter here. I was so tempted because it makes a nice fray to leave it, but this is a very lightweight corduroy. So I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this with a facing, and I'm going to show you how to do that. In addition to that, I want to put patch pockets because I did not put any pockets in the front. So you can see if I just push this back a little bit, there are no pockets here. And quite frankly, because of my belly, I don't like having pockets on the front of my pants. I mean, I do like the Sorsha Classic Slim Trousers deep pocket, and I do put my hands in there when I'm standing around in my red linen pair. But these are very close fitting. They're snug up around my stomach, so I did not want to add a pocket there. So in the back, you can see, I am actually going to add a pocket. So I've already cut them out, and they're petting in the same direction. So I have the nap going down, and I have these short little pockets that I'm going to put on. This is the pattern from my Shorts for Everybody pattern. I thought I would do this little different shape here, but basically what I did to prep this is I sewed, and you can see I'll unfold it here. I sewed all of the folding lines to give myself a guide. And if I zoom in, I think you can see how I stitched where I'm going to fold, and then I folded it just to the inside. So that gave me a guide to fold it. So I'm going to put these pockets on now. So I'm going to explain how I, decide to position these back pockets, and, then I'll have pockets on there, so if I want to stick my phone in there, I can. I was going to do the flaps. I did cut them out. So here are the flaps. But I've decided I'm not going to do the flaps because they'll stick up a little bit, and a lot of times my shirt will cover the top of my back pocket. So I've decided I'm not going to do flaps, even though I cut them out. So we're going to sew on back pockets. And I think I shared this in a previous, I know I shared this in a previous tutorial for something. I want to use a subtle top stitching thread for this, and I don't really have the top stitching color that would go with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I'm using that Mara 100 thread that I get at, I get it at Wawak. And I'm going to use 2 spools of it. So I already have 1 spool in my machine. I'm going to add this second spool, and I'm going to sew through, I'm going to thread it into 1 needle. And if you put 2 rows of thread in the same needle, it will actually look like top stitching thread. So if you're ever in a situation where you can't find the right color top stitching thread, consider using 2 spools of all-purpose thread, and you're going to be really surprised at how close it looks to a thicker top stitching thread. And if your machine is one of those machines that is not in love with a thicker top stitching thread, this might even be a better option for you. So I'm literally going to just thread my second spool the same exact way. So I think you can see that I'm literally just threading it the same path through the take up lever, back down. Now my machine, I'm just going to stick it in here. I've got like a separation in my thread guide here, so I'm going to stick it on the right side for this one. And then to get it through the needle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift. Let me see if I can get this to be a better angle now. I think that'll be better if I sharpen that up. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hold this thread up high off of the like I want to hold it so it's at the top of the hole, and then that will allow me to get the second one in. And Diane, I'm not using top stitching thread. I like to get the Mara 100 thread from Wawak, and it's over 1,000 yards, and it's only $4 and something cents at Wawak, and it's a really nice quality thread from Gutermann. That's one of Gutermann's threads. But my point is, if you put 2 strands of thread through the same needle, you're going to get a stitch that looks like top stitching. So that's the whole idea here. The only trick is you want to make sure that you're not wrapping either thread around the needle. Make sure it's going from front to back. So I've got that, and I'll just show you on a scrap here. So these are the flaps I'm not going to use. So I'll just show you how this looks now. I'm going to put my stitch length like on 3.5, and then I'll just stick the 2 tails under there. So even on this sort of nappy fabric, you can see that makes a nice look. So the first thing I'm going to do here is, this fabric has really no stretch. Okay, it's pretty firm. So sometimes if I'm going to be working with a pocket, I'll put a strip of cotton interfacing here. I don't think I need it for these because I'm doing 2 rows of this corduroy, and I feel like it's pretty, you know, it's pretty firm fabric. So I am going to, oh, you know what? Let me get my, I'm going to get my special hem guide that my dad gave me, which is, it's in here somewhere. Oh, oh, here it is. All right, so I'm going to use this, And I'm going to use the simple method of using the putty. Now this putty has been stuck onto my bias binder. I'm going to take it off my bias binder and I'm going to use it to attach this hem guide. Because remember, what I can do with this hem guide, this is going to be fun. I have all these things and then I forget that I can use them. So I'm going to stick the putty onto this right here. And then I'm going to stick that, I'm going to stick it like right, let's say right there. That'll give me room. I'm just going to push it down. So I'm not worrying about the screw because I know some people don't have screws. So see, I just put the putty there and you can see that's pretty firm now. Now here's how I can get a perfect top stitching. I want to stop top stitch right on the edge of the hem allowance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pocket like this. I'm going to stick it under here. And I'm going to move this back until I'm stitching right near the edge, like within like a scant 1/8 inch here, right? And then once I've got that set, I'm going to tighten this screw. So this screw slides it back and forth. So now I've got that tight. So that's all firmly in place. And actually, I can use my little stubby screwdriver that Pat gave me to, I'm going to tighten this screw over here. Whoops, let me show you. So it doesn't wing around. I'm just going to tighten that down so this stays firm this way, right? So now I've got that in position. Oops. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now that I've got that set up, I can take this out, put it like this, and I know I'm going to be stitching in just the right spot to catch that hem. So I think that's pretty cool to use the hem allowance, my little hem allowance guide here. So I'm just going to stitch. Get that started. I'm going to back tack a little bit. And then we're just going to stitch. Oops. And I'm going to keep my eye right here. And then as I come off the end, again, I'm just going to back tack. And look at how perfect I kept that right on the edge. So that's really cool. So let me do the other one. I think these are similar enough that I don't have to recheck it. So again, I'm going to start. Now I have this so far away from my feed dogs. I'm not really under the presser foot. I'm going to start a little bit on the fabric like this. And then I'm going to take a stitch and I'm going to back up, and that way I won't have that problem with it starting like I did the first time. And again, I'm just going to so you can see again, look how perfect that is. So now I've top stitched the top of my pocket. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to take this off. I'm not going to use this for the rest. Okay, let me just slide this out of the way. All right, so the next step is I'm going to make this bigger, and I'm going to get my pants out here. Okay, so the way I position my pockets on the back of my pants is I take the center back seam and I use that as my guide. I only want, let me just lift this up higher here so we have a little bit better angle. There we go. So the way I figured this out is I'm going to have the pocket be maybe I'm going to put it, it's a relatively short pocket, you know, I can see that my crotch keeps going, you know, here. So I have plenty of room to give some breath between my bottom of my waistband and also the top of the pocket. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to measure 1 inch down and 1.5 inches over. Okay, you don't want the inside edges of the pockets to be too far away from each other across the center back, because what that does is it makes your butt look wider if you've got too much space here. So I'm going to go with 1.5 inches away like this, and also 1 inch from the waistband. And I am going to use, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get my sew tights off my back wall. So my little sew tight stand, I'm going to stand that up here. And what I'm going to do is, instead of trying to use pins, I am going to take a sew tight, and I'm going to use the sew tight lights for this because I don't need a lot of power. I'm going to put the colored side against the back of the pocket, and I'm going to put the metal above it, and then I'm just going to double check and make sure I have the right measurement here. 1 inch and 1.5 inches, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take another sew tight and I'm going to come over to the other side here. And again, I want to make sure that I'm 1 inch away. Okay, so you can see I'm 1 inch away there. So I'm going to just stick another sew tight. And if you're wondering why I'm putting the metal part on top, that's because if I do that, then the metal is not going to be attracted to my needle plate. The magnetic strength of the thing is not going to be attracted to the metal needle plate on my machine. And then I'll just put, maybe I'll put one more down here. This is a heavy duty one. Okay, so I want to make sure it's laying nice and straight up at the top. And then I want to make sure it's not going to move at all. So I'm going to use 3. Like that. And you can see this pocket's not going to go anywhere now. Okay, so I've got 3, and I put them in places where I'm not going to have to remove them as I sew. So I think 3 is a good amount. And again, I just want to verify I'm 1 inch there, and I'm 1 inch there. And because I know that this is not going to move, I'm going to set up my other one so they're both together, and then I'm just going to sew my back pockets on. And then after I do that, I'm going to show you how to finish the hem with a facing. So again, we're going to be 1.5 inches over and 1 inch down. And I'm just going to put that right there. And see, the thing is, I can take one of these, I can take the sew tight, this part, and I can do it face up under there. And then once I'm sure I have it in place, I can just put the metal backing on. So again, I'm going to do 1.5 inches and 1 inch. Make sure that's lined right up with that level. And then I can put the backing on. Okay, and then I'm going to check it over here as well, making sure I'm 1 inch away, which I am. I'll put my second one here. Again, I'll just slide it under there. Double check that it's 1 inch. And then stick the sew tight on there. Now you can use pins as well, but I like the sew tights because they don't shift and they don't fall off. All right, I'm going to stick one more. Maybe this time I'll use a dot. So again, I'm just going to stick it in there. And then I'm just going to do this. So now I've got them attached and they're not going to move, and I don't have to take them out as I top stitch. Now the other thing we want to make sure of is that we are not sewing this side of our thing. So I'm going to make sure as I sew, oops. Oh, let me just make sure I didn't screw that up. Hold on. Just make sure that I'm still good. I think I am. All right, so I just want to double check that because I did fuss with that. Yeah, that's still an inch, still an inch. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my pants. I'm going to turn my pants inside out. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to sew with the front of the leg on top so I don't sew it by accident. So you're going to see here now, if I do it this way, you can see, I can see my pocket and I can see that I'm not going to sew this. So this is the same principle as sewing inside the circle. And you can also see I took my leg and I turned it inside out, and I'm not going to have to reposition these. Sew tights stayed perfect, so I don't need to worry about repositioning that. So now I'm gonna bring this back down so you can see a little better. Oops, let me just loosen this. All right, and then I can zoom in a little bit more. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna top stitch my pockets. And I think I'm just gonna catch this a little bit closer, this little tail. Okay. And I'm just gonna do a simple top stitching here. I'm gonna start a little bit on, and again, I'm gonna back up to the edge. And then I'm gonna start going again here. And I'm just gonna sew like a scant 1/8 of an inch away. And as I sew, I'm just gonna make sure everything is staying nice and I'm only catching this one layer. Okay, I'm gonna pivot here. Then I'm gonna pivot here. And now we're going to go straight across the bottom. All right, now we're coming along to the last edge here, and I just want to make sure everything is laying nice and smooth and flat. And then we're just going to sew right up this last side. Okay, and then I'm just going to wing it around and do the other one. I can take these sew tights off though. Okay, and now let's do this one. And again, I'm just going to make sure everything is laying nice and flat. And we'll just sew this. Well, I'm not a fan of front pockets. I do like to have back pockets. And again, I'm just making sure, you know, the leg is laying, everything is laying nice and straight. Okay, coming up to the last side. And up the last edge here. And again, I think I'm going to clip this little thread here. Okay. I'm just going to back tack. Okay. So I called this my simple patchwork patch pocket because I'm not doing a double row. I just wanted it to be a nice simple top stitching. And I think I have reached that goal. I'll put those sew tights away later, but I just want to show you how nice this is going to look. And how nice the two rows of stitching are. I mean, the two strands of stitching kind of look like top stitching thread. See, isn't that cool? And you can see the whole pocket stayed really nice and flat while I was working. And now I have back pockets. Yay, I'm super excited. Okay, so the pockets are on. And now I'm going to just clip these threads. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do to create a facing. Now, I think I might have said at the beginning, the reason why I want to do... Let's look at the back pockets one more time. Okay, so there are the back pockets. The reason why I want to use a facing down here is because this is such lightweight corduroy that I think having an extra like layer or an extra facing here is really going to add some heft to the hem. So that's why, another reason why I'm going to use a facing for this to finish these hems. And what I'm going to do here is I dragged out my pattern, which I have right here, and I was going to show you how to draft it on the leg. But what I want to show you is here are the bottoms of my pattern pieces. Let me just make it a little less, there, a little less, I'm just trying to make room here so I can lay it flat. All right, so the reason why I'm not going to show you how to draft them on the actual pattern pieces is because they are rectangular, meaning there is no flare here. So if I measure, this is 10 5/8, and then if I measure up here, it's still 10 5/8. So the bottom here is just a strip of fabric. There's no flare or taper, and that's the same thing for the front as well. So I'm not going to draft it on here. If this were a shaped flare or, you know, if this were a shaped leg, what I would do is I would decide how deep of a facing I wanted, and I think I'm going to do like 2-inch. Well, I'm going to sew it on using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So when I flip it up, I want it to be a full 2 inches. So I'm going to make it a 3-inch facing for now because I'm going to turn the other one under. I'm going to turn the top edge under a 1/2 inch as well. So I'm going to cut a 3-inch facing. And if this had some sort of shape, meaning flare or taper, you could just draw it right on here. So like as an example, I could literally just measure what I wanted for a width here. you know, maybe in the middle, and then also at the end, and I would do that. Okay, but you can see what this is going to create in this situation is, and then I would trace this off and I'd have a facing pattern piece. I'm not going to bother with that for these because, like I said, they're just strips of fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and cut myself 3-inch wide strips, and I'm going to make them the exact length we need. I don't have to worry about tapering or shaping them or anything because it's a straight hem. So I'm going to bring my pants back here. Oh, actually, before we do that, I'm just going to get some fabric right here. And I'm going to use one of my rulers and my rotary cutter. Oh, let me stop and say hi to Diane Bacon. Hi, Diane. Welcome. We're finishing the hem now. That's what we're working on now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to I want to make sure that the fabric is petting down. So it's this way is the down way. And I'm going to cut it so I only have one seam. I think I can get away with doing one seam and not two. This is literally all the fabric I have left from what I bought. So I have just enough to cut out the pockets and then also cut out facing pieces. And then I'll just have little odd scraps left. So what I'm going to do here is all right, this is all, like this is just a skinny piece here. I'm going to cut this off. And I'm going to cut, I'll leave that one there. But basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut, I need 2 pieces, right? So I'm going to trim this to be the right, like this. And I'm using my salvages are lined up with the grid on my cutting board here. So you can see what I'm doing. Let me see if you can, there. So basically I'm just gonna line this up with a line. So see my salvages are lining up here. And then I'm just gonna use the grid on the board to cut off some strips here. And I'm just going to go straight across on this line like this. Okay. All right, so then I'm going to give myself, I wonder if I have enough for, I think I'll have enough. I'm just going to cut a 3-inch piece right here. Like this. Okay, so now these are going to be my facing pieces. If I fold these in half, you can see that it's going to be long enough for my hem. Hey Lorna, welcome from New Zealand. Welcome. All right, let me show you. All right, so it wants to be, here's our piece. Oh, it's one big long piece. All right, so I'm going to cut it. We're going to cut one at a time here. So let's look at our pants. I'm going to turn them inside out. We're making facings. This is riveting TV here, or riveting tutorial. I'm going to lay this flat like this. And the reason why I turned it inside out is because I want to include the seam allowance, because I want to make sure that the facing is the exact measurement of the bottom of the leg. So I'm just going to scooch this over a little bit like this. And I'm going to make sure that we are, oh, wait a minute. So look at, my back leg is wider, right? So I want to make sure I'm folding this exactly in half so that you can see that the back extends that little bit. What I'm talking about is, see how my back is sticking out this little bit right here? I want to make sure I get this exact length like this, and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to use my Lorna's asking if did I start early today? I hopped on at 6:37 a.m. 10 minutes ago, and you were halfway through. Right, because FabFit Friday starts at 1, so it would be at 6 a.m. your time. God bless you for waking up that early. Wow. To join me. So I was just sewing the pockets on, and now I'm doing the facing. So you haven't missed any facing. So I want to make sure that this fold stays flat. I'm literally going to cover my ruler. I'm going to cover the folded ends with my ruler to squish them down here. And then I'm going to slide it so this end of the ruler is lined up here, right, with the edge. And then I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to cut this to match like this. So there is my facing for this piece. And if I lay it on here, you can see that that is going to match. So for now, let me just clip this to this leg, and then let's do the other leg. I don't know about you, but sometimes I might not have sewed 100% accurately leg to leg. So this leg might be an 1/8 inch narrower than the other one, or whatever it's going to be. So that's why this facing is going to stay with this leg. And this is going to be the second leg. And again, I'm going to make sure I hold down the fold between the, and actually, this fabric is rumpled because I literally took it out of the dryer. That's why I'm still a little bit rumpled here. But basically, let's just give this a nice flat press. I literally want to make sure that, you know, it's right there, that little bit, so you can see the part that sticks out a little bit. I want to make sure it's exactly correct. So by pressing it, I can make sure I'm capturing the full width of the pant leg. All right, let me move that out of the way. And then we're going to do the same thing we just did. I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it like this. And we'll do it like this. That doesn't matter for right now. And let's make sure that we have the ruler. Everything is straight, straight, and straight. And I'm gonna tamp those down to make sure those are straight. So you can see those are gonna exactly match. I'm gonna move this out of the way. I'm gonna cut this. All right, so now I have my two facing pieces. Oh, Lorna says this is riveting because I'm explaining everything really well. Oh, all right. I'm happy that you think that. Sometimes I literally think some of these simple things is like drying paint, and I know I've said that before, but I can't help myself thinking that. All right, now I want to make sure I sew these exactly so that they are exactly on point here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark with a little blue pen where my stitching line is. I just want to make sure that, you know what I mean, that it's the same, and it's right here. All right, and I'm going to make sure that I sew exactly like this because again, I want them to be exact. I don't want the facing to pull at the leg, and I don't want the leg to pull at the facing. So let me do this one as well. So again, I'm going to just make sure these are sewn at the exact. I'm going to draw a line. And I'm not going to clean finish anything here because this whole thing is going to be encased in the fabric, and I'll show you. So what I'm going to do first is, oops, 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 oops. All right, this one is going to go with this one. I just want to make sure I don't screw them up, but I know which one is which. All right, this is going to be for the one with the clip. I don't know that it's going to matter that much, but basically the clip, this is the one without the clip. I'm going to bring my sewing machine back. Hey, oh, you guys, Trisha is here from the Creative Costume Academy. I'm so happy you made it. Let's just take a break. I'll finish sewing these in a minute, but in case Trish has to leave, let me just go back to my face camera here. Oh, excuse you. All right, so what I want to talk about is, oh, Trish says, oh, are those the pants that I wore in my pants fitting class? They are. I wore them unhemmed and without back pockets. And while you were streaming with your group, I sewed the back pockets on. I showed them that. So there are my back pockets. And I'm showing them how to do a facing to finish the hem now. But I'll do that after I'm done here. I just want to talk about Trisha's boot camp is opening up. She only does it twice a year, and she can tell us in the chat when that is. And I did put a link to her website, so if you want to find out more about her, if you want to find out more about the boot camp that's going to be opening, it only opens twice a year, so you might want to check that out because, even though I teach fitting, Trish teaches fitting, my friend Sarah teaches fitting, Katrina teaches fitting. I have so many friends who teach fitting, but guess what? You're going to learn something different from all of us. So I highly recommend, checking out her boot camp. If you love her boot camp, she has a private community that you can then sign up and join. And, it's Fitabulous Fit Boot Camp, March 25th to the 29th. So definitely check that out. There is a link in the description below to go check out her website. And for people who are already in her group, not the boot camp, but she has a private pants fitting group, CCAPP. She can tell us what CCAPP is. I'm actually teaching a class for her next Thursday on Zoom. I am teaching efficient workflow for pattern fitting. So it's not a pants fitting class so much as it is, what is the most efficient way to start with picking a pattern to your finished pants. So I'm going to be teaching that next week for her private community. So I wanted to talk about that. And also Trish is saying that I want to remind everyone the Fitabulous Fit Bootcamp that starts on the 25th is free, and there's prizes and there's fun. So make sure you check that out. Again, the link is in the description below. And then if you're watching and you're already part of her private community, I'll see you on Thursday next week for a Zoom class. She brings in other sewing teachers, and sometimes she does these herself, I believe, to educate and add more value to her private community. And CCAPP is Creative Costume Academy Pattern Place. That is the name of her private community. So you may want to be involved with that as well. So doing the free boot camp with prizes will give you a good idea you know, how Trish does her fitting, and she does it differently than me, and she's got a lot of cool things that she does. So definitely, you know, go check her out, sign up for the free boot camp, win some prizes. And then if you're already a Creative Costume Academy Pattern Place member, I will see you next Thursday for Efficient Workflow for Bodice Fitting. It's going to be super fun. So those are all the things. Oh, Diane's going to be there. All right, Diane, I'm so excited. Oh, Trish says, the boot camp is our taste of all the things that we do in the community. It's our big celebration for when the doors open, and it's only twice a year. So that is something to keep in mind. If, you know, if you're busy and you can't make it, you know, on the 25th to the 29th, and you want to take full advantage, and let's say you're just too busy to fit it in, you'll have to wait 6 months. So, so there you are. So I'm super excited to be teaching for her CCAPP, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And again, I know she puts a lot of heart and soul into her boot camp and her group. So definitely check her out. Just let me know if there's anything I didn't talk about, Trish. And then if I didn't, just put it in there and I will tell everybody. And then also, I'm just going to go back to working on my facings. I'm just going to do one in the video today and I'll finish the other one off camera. But again, I'm using a facing to finish the hems of these pants for 2 reasons. First of all, if you remember, this pattern was not my pants pattern. It was a pattern I played with to go from from stretch fabric to non-stretch. I took my stretch jeans pattern, made it into pants, and then adjusted it for non-stretch fabric. So that's this pattern. So of course, did I check the length? No, I did not. So it's a perfect length now almost. So that's why I'm doing a facing, so I don't have to hem it up and I don't lose more length. Plus it's lightweight corduroy, so this extra facing is going to give my hem a little more heft. All right, so let me just see here. Trish says everything is recorded for the boot camp and replays are up until April 5th. So you have time to look at everything. And oh, she says she's super excited to have me. I'm super excited too. Diane says, off topic, I'm working on yoga pants and I can't find what the seam allowance is. All right, so the yoga pants has like a 3/8 inch if you're on your newer serger. If you're on an older serger and your serger sews at a 1/4 inch, just skim a slight sliver off as you stitch. So 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch for the yoga pants works because it's very forgiving. You have a very stretchy fabric, at least 40% vertically and cross grain. So I hope that answers your question. Oh, yeah, no, I know. I hope I answered you, Diane. Please let me know if you have more questions about that. You can ask anything during my lives, even if it's, you know, off topic. So I'm very happy to answer anything. And then obviously I have to go back and look at that pattern and make sure I clearly stated it somewhere. I might have forgot to stick that in there clearly. So I will go and check that and I'll fix it if it needs to be fixed. So Diane, thank you for asking me that question. All right, so let's get back to this. I'm going to bring my machine back over. I'm going to bring my camera back down. And I'm going to tip it a little. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to zoom in. And what I want to show you here is I'm just going to sew on the line I drew, because remember I want it to be exact. Oops. So I'm just going to sew this. And I'm going to bring my stitch length back down to 3 millimeters. Oh, and also, well, I still have the 2 threads in. I think I'll just leave it. All right, so there's my facing. So now what I'm going to do, here's my facing. It's all nice and sewn. I'm going to get my sleeve board because the next step is I want to press this open because that'll make it less bulky. So we're going to press this open. like this. Okay, so see how nice and flat that is. Oh, Trisha's saying thank you for the shout out. Looking forward to our class next week in the pattern place. And Trisha's looking forward to seeing Diane. Yay! It's going to be super fun. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and we're going to pet it to make sure we know which side is up. So see, this is the up direction is going this way. That means when I sew this on, this is going to be the top edge of my facing when it's sewn on because I want it to pet the correct way. So I am going to now turn my hem allowance under a 1/2 inch, and honestly I am eyeballing it. I'm definitely eyeballing it here, but we're just going to go around and do the 1/2 inch because if I press it now, then it'll be nice and easy to just sew into place after I get it on the bottom of the leg. Joy is asking, what thread am I using from Wawak? It is their Mara 100, and it's by Gutermann. And let me just show you another spool so you can see what the whole spool looks like. This thread is so nice. Now this is the black, but this is how it comes in these, 1,000+ yards of thread, and the thread is so nice and smooth and wonderful and substantial. I really, really like it. They do have a 40 weight as well, which is a little bit thicker, but I find that this one is really nice, and you can tell up here it'll say Mara 100 right on up here on the tube. Let me see if I can show it to you. See, Mara 100. And what I do is whenever I order things, if you get a $100 order from Wawak, it's free shipping. So when I'm ordering other things, I buy colors until I make it to 100. That's how I collect my colors. Trisha is saying, also, if you're on Instagram, Jen and I are going live there Wednesday at 4 p.m. Oh, I forgot to mention that, Trisha. Thank you for telling everybody. We're going to be live on Trisha's Instagram Wednesday next week, the day before the class at 4. So if you want to check out more information about that, you can. And Trisha says, I love the Gutermann Mara thread also. Yay. It is. It's very nice, isn't it? And Jan says, now that's a slick trick. And Escape 10 Mom says, that's my favorite thread. And Diane says, can you use Mara for garment construction? Absolutely. That's the only thread I sew with now that is new. I have a lot of older thread in my collection, but these pants were sewn with one spool of this. I only put 2 spools together to, to get the top stitch look. And actually, like I just said to you, I forgot to take the other thread out. I'm just going to leave it for the hem. But ideally, you're going to want to just use one thread is plenty for garment construction. And then again, if you don't have top stitching thread in the color you're looking for, double it up and you get a nice heavier look on the thread, and it looks like top stitching thread. And I discovered that by accident when I was making a pillow for my dad, and I was using top stitch thread in my needle to do a reverse flat lock, and I ran out, so I used 2 spools of this red, and it worked beautifully. All right, so now that I have this pressed up, right, now we're going to pin it to the pant, and you can see that when it's pressed into the right side, this is going to be the hem, the length of the hem. This is going to be the top fold. You can see that it will pet down when it's inside the thing. If you're feeling gung-ho about starting your collection of Mara thread, they do have, I think, a selection of like 100 spools or something. And that works out to be much, it's a couple $100 or something, but it works out to be much less than if you were to buy them all separate. You know, and if you buy, I think 6 in the same order, you get a little bit of a discount as well. Okay, so here's my pant leg right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hem, or not the hem, this is my inseam right here, right? So I'm going to put this right sides together with my pant, and I'm going to put the seam in the band with the inseam right here. I'm going to make sure that matches up. Oh, Tana is saying, I recently culled my thread drawers of wooden spools. If you can believe it, I never realized the fuzzy threads until I tried Gutermann. Oh, I know. And you know what? If you guys see thread at a thrift store or at a tag sale and it's old thread, I highly recommend not buying it, because old thread is not going to do you any favors. All right, and then I want to show you something. These are my magic clips, and every now and then, if you push it too far, they get off center. See how that's like off center? Let me make that a little clearer so we can see what I'm doing. So if that happens, if you just push down on the long one on a table, they snap back. So see, now I can use it. See? So what happens is if you push them forward off each other, they can collapse. See how it's collapsed now? It won't work. So the longer one, if you just press down on that and hold on to the shorter one, it puts them back into shape. So if anyone has any Wonder Clips that came apart and you can't use them, that's how you fix that. All right, so I'm matching up my my seam allowance first, and because I've got two pressed open seams, I'm actually going to put 2 clips right next to each other to hold those seam allowances down. And if you remember, these clips you can sew across these. So I'm clipping them on, but I'm clipping them at like 1/4, and I'm going to sew at 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's there, and I should be able to just tuck this in here and match it up perfectly, because with all my measuring and carefulness, it should just fit. If it doesn't, I might start crying. But see, it should be able to just fit. See how it just fits? So basically, I'm just going to throw a few clips in here, and then I'm going to sew it. Diana's saying, I've been using Gutermann for some time now, but eager to try Mara. Okay, so, you buy the ones made in Germany. Well, the Mara is Gutermann thread, Diane, and I'm sure it's made. Let me see if it says where it's made here. Doesn't say, but I'm willing to bet all their threads are made in Germany. It's a German company. So these are also, I think this is a step up from the ones you can find at Joann's. They're Metrozine. No, that's Metler. Whatever their standard thread is, I think it's, this is like a step up from that. You know, and if you buy it at Wawak, it's really a very reasonable price. So I can use my little scrap bin here to get my little clips. I'm just going to clip them on. And see, I've already pressed my seam allowances, so I'm using these clips to hold my original side and inseams in the same direction that they were pressed, because that's really a pain. If you've already pressed your garment and then you sew across it going in the opposite direction, that could not be nice. All right, so I've got just a few clips in here. I don't need a ton, because again, this matches pretty close to 1-to-1. Oh, Lorna is saying Gutermann is the thread range most available in New Zealand. Yeah, it's worldwide. Another thread company I might experiment with in the future for more creative things is, oops, I have to think of it now. I completely forgot. Oh my God, I forgot the name. They do a lot of decorative threads, and they do a lot of things to support small businesses, like if they want to make a kit and they want to have their threads available for small businesses. They don't make you buy an arm and a leg's worth. And now, but I don't have any of their threads except the free ones that they gave me at Houston last year. And now it's bugging me that I can't think of the name. Oh my gosh. I'll think of it and I'll tell you before I get off. All right, so now I'm going to start sewing. I'm sewing at a 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to start right at my inseam, not Madeira. Oh my God, I feel like I'm having a brain of a senior moment. Okay, so if you guys know my friend Gail Yellen of Gail Patrice Designs, she has a custom collection of colors by this company. So this is going to become a trivia. This could be like a trivia game. So Gail Yellen, Gail Patrice Designs, uses a lot of their decorative threads in her serger techniques. So that's your hint. And it's not Madeira. Wonderfill. Sorry, I ruined this. I ruined the game. Wonderfill threads are very, very nice, and I'm going to be playing with those for maybe some decorative things in the new year. All right, so I'm just sewing at a 1/2 inch here. And you can see the reason why I like to use magic clips for sewing hems is you can see I don't have to take them out. Oh, Kathy, no. Gun. Oh, I see you. Oh, that's okay. You could guess. It's okay. But it's Wonderfill threads. And I'll tell you what, I was super impressed how nice the company is, and the owner of the company was very nice. He was there in Houston, and I got to meet him. So I'm dying to even come up with an excuse to buy threads from them because they're just such nice people, and they're also international. So, oops. All right, I got a little hunky there. I'm going to back up. I saw myself get a little crooked, so I'm going to fix that. You know I really like a pair of pants or something I'm making if I stop to fix a subtle boo-boo like that. All right, let's just get this finished. I'm going to take this out because this is creeping away. Sometimes corduroy, because of the nap, it can sort of like rub at each other and move away from the edge. So I'm just making sure this stays even here. Okay, so I'm coming to the beginning. I've already sewn these down, so I'm going to take these out. All right. I'm just going to overlap my start point, back tack, and cut. All right, this is exciting. So now we've got a facing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my sleeve board back over here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on like this. And I'm going to press the seam allowance up. That's the first step. Oh, I probably should understitch. Well, let's just see. Hold on. Let me just press this first. Let's see how agreeable it is. I might take it back off and understitch. Because, you know, understitching is what encourages the facing to stay, you know, to stay on the wrong side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this leg right side out so I can, oh no, I'm sorry, inside out. Still inside out, sorry. Oh, Lorna wants to know if Wonderfill is different from Aerofill. Yes, it is. Those are two different companies, I believe. And Aerofill is really nice. I love Aerofill's cotton thread. I use that for embroidery sometimes. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around so you can see it this way, I think. Like that. And I'm going to get myself a little pad that I can stick this on right here as my little iron stand. Okay, so now, let me move me out of the way over here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, move this over a little bit. Okay, so I want to make sure when I press this up that the facing is on the inside ever so slightly. And this is where understitching would help that. But I think what I'm going to do for this one is I'm just going to press it so I can just see, I can see both layers of fabric on the inside. And that way on the outside I will just see the, you know, I won't see the folded edge of the bottom of the facing like this. Oh. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to press this up. See, all these little details take time, but I have a feeling these pants are going to be like my go-to pants. I love these pants. I'm so happy I bought this corduroy. If any of you have a chance to visit the Kansas City Makers Studio and Fabric Store, I highly recommend. It's such a great store. All right, so you can see I'm just folding this, and making sure it's nice and even. And I'm just pressing it a little bit as I go. All right, here I am back at the beginning. All right, now that I pressed it, let's take it out and look at it here. I'm just gonna lay it flat. Another one of these. Okay, so now I'm just gonna lay this like this, just so we can see. See, that's gonna lay nice, right? All right, so I'm really happy with that. Now, to secure the hem in place, I have to use traditional pins because, you know, now we're pinning within the garment. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to sew it like this. And I'm going to be sewing it from the right side. So I'm going to turn it right side, no, inside out, because I'm going to sew inside the circle like this. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put the pins, you know, through the hem like this. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little hem guide out that I used to sew the tops of my pockets. And that's going to make it really easy to sew this nice hem I'm going to show you. So I'm literally just putting a few pins in there just to hold it in place. And I'm also using the magic pins that have the grids. These are the Ultra Grip Plus pins that have the raised ridges. I really like them. Oh, Lorna's asking, do you have any tricks for getting wrinkles out of folded fabric? I have a good iron, but struggle to get cotton fabric to completely crease free from, ready from pinning my patterns. Well, if you've got a stubborn crease, I would have a spray bottle of just regular, not distilled, but just like, like spring water, something that doesn't have the metal stuff that can be in your tap water. I would just have a spray bottle of water, and I would just spray the crease and then lay it flat and just let it relax for a little bit before you start to press it some more. That's usually the way I can get out, things that are creased in my projects. All right, now the question is, I'm gonna get this back out. Okay, I'm gonna use this again because I want to be able to mark my hem. Now notice I'm putting it farther away because I have a 2-inch hem I have to mark. So I'm going to put it way over here like this. You gotta put it right here. So I'm literally putting it, notice, in order to get a 2-inch wide hem allowance like this. See, so let me just put this here so you can see what I mean. This needs to be approximately, over here. So I'm attaching my foot on the metal part of my machine. Okay, so that means even if I could use the screw for this, I love having my my poster removable putty to adhere this onto my machine because I can put it anywhere I want. Diane is asking if I have a cool tool for this hem guide that I'm using. Yes, Diane, this is the presser foot my dad got me that went viral for me. Like literally, I had 17,000 views on this Cool Tools the week after I like after the weekend when I shot it. So this was my first cool tool ever, and it's called, I named the video, My Dad Got Me This Presser Foot, I Think You Need One Too. So that's the current name of it. And it's amazing because watch, I'm going to set this up now. So I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to put my needle down right there. And then I'm going to make sure the hem guide is in the exact position for that. See, so I can slide it back and forth by loosening this, right? This has just made a lot of things so much easier to do accurately like that, making sure that's good. And then I'm going to tighten down this screw. And these little screwdrivers are from Bucklebee Bag website. So I'm just going to tighten that down. I've got that nice and secure. Now I'm going to take it out and I'm going to sew it like this. So now I can put it back, right side out. And of course I'm going to go where I'm going to start on the side where the inseam is. Oh, Lorna says, thanks for the ironing tip. You're welcome. I mean, sometimes a good spray of, liquid will get things that are stubborn to uncrease. Like you can even let it dry flat. All right, so I've got that right there. And then I'm gonna take this pin out because it's right under my needle. And we are gonna start stitching. But notice I'm stitching inside the circle so I don't catch anything. I'm gonna put my stitch length back at like 3.5. And we're just gonna start stitching, and I'm paying attention right here. I wanna make sure the end of the pant is even with my hem guide there. Oops. As I say that and take off and screw that up, look at how far away I am from the hem guide. Oh, but that, no, I think, let me just, all right, that was a false start. Hold on one second. Let me just look. All right, so I'm looking, and I think I want to move this so it is a little bit, I'm just going to scooch it up like that. All right, let me just start over here. I think I was a little bit too, all right, we're going to start right here. All right, here we go. And again, as it takes off, I want to make sure it stays right here. Oh my God, Tana drilled holes. Tana, that's amazing that you drilled holes. There was a guy, some guy commented under that video that you could drill holes. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I don't trust myself with power tools like that with my machine. But I'm happy to hear you did that and it worked. So see, I'm holding my fabric out here so I can hold it even with this. I'm not even really looking at the needle at this point. I'm just trying to keep my edge even with my hem guide over here. This is a really wide hem, you know, and I think the wider your hem, sometimes the more challenging it is to keep it even. So it's hard to keep track of a really wide allowance like this. All right, let's see. I'm just making sure everything is nice and straight. The other thing is I think my glob of putty is a little bit fat, so it's not laying flush with my machine. If I was doing something long, I think I would take it out and make it a little less high, but for this, I think I can make this work. Okay, I'm almost done. Okay, I'm getting there. Almost done. All right, I think that was my last pin. Oh, I can see my start point. I'm almost done. Did I tighten? Oh yeah, the back screw is tight. It's just, it's pivoting a little bit here because I think the putty, I think I have too much putty under there and it's not laying flush. I mean, it's secure. It's just not, it's not laying flush against this. So I just have to be careful. I have used this presser foot with the putty and been more, you know, not had that problem. I think I just globbed big pieces under here. Like less is more with the putty. I think it's just too fat of a piece. I'll show you that when I get done. All right, now I'm just gonna back tack and then I'm gonna show you when I got started the first time, I didn't like how I was starting. So you can see that this part right here, I'm gonna take that little part out right there because I started there and I realized it was too close. But I think if I take this, I'm gonna take it out. Well, I might have to do it after. It's hard for me to see. The color matches so closely. I'll fuss with that part later, but let me just show you the finished hem here. Yeah, see, that came out really nice. Make it a little brighter so you can see, and a little sharper. And I can zoom way in so you can see, like, see how nice that is? You can see it's even. Okay. All right, so I'm super happy with my hem now. And from the inside, you can see that it's very even. And see, it's catching my allowance, right? So this is just really nice and neat and tidy. So I love it when it's even on the inside and it's even on the outside. That makes my heart happy. So let me just look at this one more time here. I think, see how big that glob is? I think if I had used half that. Oh, okay. So see how this indentation is here? What I should have done is stuck it there in this little indentation like this. So see, I'm putting it here because this is recessed a little bit. So if I put it right there like that and then stick it on like this, Now you can see it's flush and it's firm. Okay, so I had it over here and it was bumping up because this should be flush against the machine. So now if I press this down, this is down. Before it was lifting up a little bit like that. So putting your putty, and I could put another piece back here actually. So see how it's recessed, oops, recessed. So that I think would make a much better attachment. See, look at that, perfect. Okay, so watch where you put your putty if you're working with something. Make sure you don't stick it on the raised parts is where I had it before. So over here you can see it's recessed. See how that's a little recessed part, so that can work better. All right, so that's my little putty deal. Here's my little hem. I'm so excited. All right, we're already at 2:30, so I think I'm gonna call it here, and I'll finish the other one off camera. But I'm gonna lift this up and put it out of the way. All right, so super excited. This was a fun episode for me. I promise you, I will get my room clean, and it's a struggle. Like when I packed for my trips in my workshop, I messed things up by looking for stuff. So I need to put everything back and I need to finalize my storage, and then I will share my final answer with you my tour of my room once I get it finally organized. But super happy about these pants. And I'm glad I had to share that with you, and I'm glad Trisha had a chance to stop in and talk about her Fitabulous boot camp that's starting on the 25th. Click the link below to check that. And then if you're in the group already, her private community group for her CCAPP, Creative Costume Academy Pattern Place, I'll see you next week. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching me. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope your weather is starting to feel a little bit nicer. I know some places in the country are not nice right now, so I'm sorry if you're in one of the yucky areas, either with fires or snowstorms or all sorts of things going on. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I will have my full schedule of videos next week. I have a really cool tool for cool tools. And the thing about the cool tool for this week coming up is I bought it to crochet with, and then I realized I can use it for sewing too. So if any of you are knitters or crocheters and sewers, you might be able to use this for more than one thing. So I'm excited to share my cool tool. And then I have a pants related Fit Tip Tuesday coming up. Some things I discovered when I was fitting this pair of pants to myself. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining me. And then, wait a minute. So, Escape 10 Mom says, Diane, if water doesn't work, use vinegar. Are you talking about, to remove wrinkles? Escape Mom 10, because if using vinegar to do that works, I would like to try it too if I have a stubborn crease. So just let us know if you're talking about using vinegar instead of water to get rid of creases in fabric. I think that's what you mean. Oh, Escape 10 Mom is also looking forward to the cool tools. I love doing the cool tools. They're so much fun. And then, oh yeah, okay. So it was actually Lorna who asked the question. So Lorna, if you're still here, Escape 10 Mom says try vinegar to get rid of stubborn creases too, because that could work. That sounds like that could be a good idea. So I think vinegar is one of those magical things that has a million different things that it can fix, kind of like baking soda. All right. Oh, you had to let them out. All right. Okay. So yay. All right. So I'm going to sign off now. I will see you guys next week. I don't have any major travel going on for a while now, so I should be here for FabFit Friday, for the foreseeable future. Oh, Escape 10 Mom says you had to let them out. Your hem? Oh, your pants? Oh, your son's pants. Oh, I see. Oh, and then was it the vinegar that helped you get rid of the original creases? Was that what that was? I'm guessing that's what that was. That's extra stubborn. If you're letting something out, you might have needle holes, or you may have really deep creases. Oh, from the hem. So I can see where if you have a hem that's been washed and worn, that is even worse for removing creases. So if white vinegar works, Diane's saying make sure it's white vinegar. Um, that's a really good tip. I might try that on something to see, because that is stubborn. That's worse than you have a crease in your fabric. That's like you washed, wore it, ironed it for however long, and then you shortened. I mean, I'm sorry, lengthened. So then you can see the original crease of the hem. That's a really good tip, Escape 10 Mom. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you, Diane, for mentioning it needs to be white vinegar. And yeah, on that note, I'm hanging up the phone, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're on Instagram next week on Wednesday at 4 over at Trisha's Creative Costume Academy Instagram, I'll see you there as well. So have a wonderful rest of your day and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.